My name is Janek Schergen, and I'm the Artistic Director of Singapore Dance Theatre. I decided to try to do a little bit of something different because we live in Singapore. And I think for me, it always seemed silly to try to make Asian dancers sort of shoehorned into a German story. And so I decided to see what we could do, and the idea of Shanghai came to me, where all those different cultures met and were influenced by one another. And so we set it at the turn of the century in Shanghai, and we had different aspects of the story. Some things in Nutcracker are there because of tradition, but sometimes tradition is a nice thing to leave behind and move on from. And so we restructured the story slightly so that there are different elements. For example, there are 3 Russian ballerinas that are on tour through Shanghai, and they happen to come to this rich people's home to be the entertainment. There's a magician that comes in. There are cadets that come from a school to be part of the party. And so we tried to use different elements. And we don't actually, though it's centered around Christmas, it's centered around Christmas in almost a novel way. It's not a Christmas party. The whole idea of the party is that he's giving his wife, the host is giving his wife a beautiful necklace, and he wants all his friends to be there to witness this gift of devotion and love that he has for her. And the Christmas tree is there as a novelty, this European sort of anomaly that they're sort of looking at, going, well, this is very new and very different. And so we tried to, in the storytelling part, we tried to take an aspect of it, and then it links through the rest of the ballet, because, for example, the cadets become toy soldiers in Act 2 and lead Clara through this, and her sister becomes the Sugar Plum Fairy. Her elder sister becomes the Sugar Plum Fairy. So we tried to weave the story in a non-traditional, yet still enough of a tradition that it was a recognizable way. That was great fun. The nice thing for me was working with all the children, because we have a huge cast of children, and people forget that sometimes the very first time a dancer goes on stage is a child in Nutcracker. And that fires the magic to look up, looking up at the ballerina or the cavalier or the other dancers, and the exact same thing that's actually taking place in the ballet, in the story of the ballet, is actually happening in real life for those young kids.
Hello, I'm Rosa Park from Singapore Dance Theatre, and I'm working here as a senior dancer. Nice to meet you. I've been doing Nutcracker since I was 13, and Nutcracker was my first ballet I got to go in the theater and watch because of the age limits in theaters. I think most of the children can watch Nutcracker as their first ballet, same as me, and 13 was my first time going on stage as Clara, and then Nutcracker was my first piece to be on stage as a professional dancer, and I got to dance my first principal role as Mary Sugar Plum in Nutcracker. And when it's time that Nutcracker no longer looks good on me, it's time for me to get off stage.